A crash happens on an Indian road. For the first few seconds, there is usually just silence, but surviving is only half the battle. India loses roughly 485 people every single day to road accidents. That is over 177,000 fatalities a year. But while the clock ticks down, the scene is usually chaotic. Bystanders gather in confusion, debating calling 108 or 112. Others hesitate to help at all, fearing a long police investigation. India has the legal and financial tools to handle this friction. We have Good Samaritan laws specifically designed to protect bystanders from harassment, and PM Rahat, a government scheme providing up to 1.5 lakh rupees in cashless treatment for road accident victims. The physical hardware is already on the ground.
The 108 ambulance network is massive, and trauma centers are spread across the country. Yet these resources often operate in total isolation, unaware of what the other is doing until the victim arrives at the door. When no single system owns the victim's journey from the road to the operating table, the golden hour remains a series of uncoordinated handoffs between departments. Look at how those first 10 minutes actually play out. Right now, the emergency system is completely blind to a crash until a confused bystander finally figures out who to call. On a rural highway or a dark flyover, that detection gap costs vital time. We can solve this with a crash signal network. By pulling data from highway CCTV, toll plaza FASTags, and even smartphone crash detection sensors, the system can pinpoint an accident instantly, without waiting for a human to make a phone call. Even when a crowd is standing right next to the crash, legal protection on paper doesn't automatically erase panic on the ground. People freeze. They are terrified of doing the wrong thing medically, or getting tied up in legal red tape. To bypass that hesitation, we need a bystander assist mode. When someone reports an accident, their phone switches to voice guidance in their local language. It tells them exactly how to keep the victim safe, while instantly issuing a digital Good Samaritan shield to guarantee they won't be questioned by police later. We have to engineer these early minutes so that we aren't relying on a crowd's courage or medical knowledge. The response must become a guided, protocol-led network the second the impact happens. Once an ambulance is dispatched, it faces the next massive bottleneck. It is essentially thrown into city traffic and left to fight its way through the gridlock alone. Faster, more urgent tone. A 2024 study reveals ambulance arrival and hospital transit consume the entire 60-minute window. To buy time back, we need a dynamic emergency mobility grid, a green corridor light that automatically holds traffic signals and alerts drivers to clear the lane. But driving fast only works if you are heading to the right place. Ambulances usually default to the nearest hospital. If a victim has internal bleeding and that facility lacks a trauma surgeon, the patient has to be moved again. The ambulance needs to sync with a live trauma capability map. This is an AI tool that tracks real-time ICU bed availability, blood banks, and specialist doctors, matching the patient's specific injury to the hospital that is currently equipped to treat it. The physical journey of that ambulance has to be guided by live city data. That ensures the patient reaches the right surgical table, rather than just the closest front door. Even when they arrive at the correct hospital, there is usually an arrival surprise. Emergency room doctors frequently discover a critical patient at the exact moment the ambulance doors open. An ER pre-alert board bridges that gap. By sending a digital tether from the ambulance, the hospital gets an 8-minute head start to review vitals, ready the blood bank, and have the trauma team standing by. Once inside, there is another layer of friction that halts care: the paperwork. Families arrive in a panic, and before the medical questions are answered, they are hit with the financial ones. They freeze, worrying about massive cash deposits and police documentation. A cashless care autopilot takes this out of the equation. At the exact moment the accident is reported, a golden hour PACE ID is generated. It automatically links the victim to the PM Rahat scheme, establishing their cashless treatment eligibility and bypassing financial negotiations entirely. By erasing the administrative and financial friction from the timeline, the doctors aren't waiting on a signature. Medical intervention can begin the exact second the stretcher rolls through the doors. We can't keep treating the golden hour as a race between panic, traffic, and paperwork. We are currently relying on 10 disconnected departments, all trying to talk to each other while a life is on the line. A golden hour operating system pulls these isolated layers into one synchronized loop. detection, traffic control, and hospital readiness finally move as one. India has to stop measuring the success of its emergency care just by counting how many new ambulances are purchased. The real metric is the seamlessness of the victim's journey from the asphalt to the ICU. A better India is one where no life is lost to an administrative gap. The crash is an accident, but the delay after the crash is a design failure waiting to be fixed.